So once upon a time, conservatives absolutely hated Roseanne Barr. Back when she butchered our national anthem by singing it totally off key, spitting on the ground, grabbing her crotch, flipping everybody off. Actually, I can't think of anyone on either side of the political aisle who appreciated that moment, but conservatives especially, because they're all about standing for the flag and kneeling for the cross, were really pissed off at Roseanne. And now she's their biggest hero because she's out here spouting off every conspiracy theory that the right wing cooks up. The other day, I saw a clip of her where she's talking about how Donald Trump is still the president of the United States and that Joe Biden is the president of the defunct corporation. And when they asked her to explain it, she said, I'll have to get back to you on that. Now, at first I said, does Roseanne need to seek medical attention? Because if so, I don't want to be speaking ill of her in any way. And then I got to thinking about it from another angle of thought. And I thought, I don't think she's slipping. I think she's playing to the audience in front of her. I think she knows good and well that Joe Biden's the president. She knows good and well Donald Trump lost. But they're playing to the base now that Donald Trump has built because that's all that's left for the Republican Party. They have nothing else. They have to play to that. I really don't think Roseanne is that stupid. I think she's working the crowd like a heel in wrestling. And she's using it to her advantage. And I think the same thing about Donald Trump. Here lately, I would see clips of Donald Trump and I'd say, wait a minute, is he slipping too? Because he would refer to Obama as the president. He'd say, I can't get Obama to do anything. Then they'd have to correct him. Wait a minute, sir, Biden's the president. At first I said, well, is Trump slipping? And then I said, no, hold on. He's playing into that conspiracy theory. The same one that Roseanne is playing into, that Obama is the president, he's in control of everything, and Biden's just doing everything that Obama says. They're working that crowd because that's all they've got left. My question would be, why would any reasonable political party in this country want that to be their base? Why would you want that to be your main audience? I'll tell you why they want it to be their main audience. It's because they are the easiest people on the planet to manipulate, and they're the easiest people on the planet to control. Because in the conspiracy theory land, you don't have to have no evidence, you have to have no facts, no data, no basis for what you're saying. Nothing. You just make the claim, you put it out there, you see who will believe it. And then if somebody comes at you with facts and evidence and research and data, you say they're part of the deep state. You say they're part of the woke mob that's trying to shut you down. And I could sit here in this chair. I've actually thought about this. I thought, I could just put on a disguise, okay? Put on a disguise, sit in a different location, and just sit here and just cook up the most crazy, off-the-wall conspiracies. And I guarantee you I'd have an audience for it. I guarantee you people would be eating out of the palm of my hand, and I would have nothing to back it up other than that I just threw it out there into the universe and saw if it would stick. And we have a political party that's perfectly okay with letting Donald Trump steer their party that way, letting him hijack their party and take it over and turn it into that, and let that be their base. And they're doing so because at the end of the day, they want to get richer, and they can do so by keeping everybody's attention off on something else. If you can convince people that, if you can declare all these culture wars and convince people that this woke mob's coming after them, then you can just pick their pockets. You can just clean out their bank accounts. They'll never notice it. Because if you empower them, and if you make them feel good about themselves, and if you give people like that this feeling that they're smart, that they're smarter than everybody else, they will eat out of the palm of your hand forever. Yes, what Roseanne is saying is lunacy. It's batshit crazy. Yes, what Donald Trump is saying is lunacy. It's batshit crazy. But do they really believe it, or are they working that crowd so they can manipulate and control the masses? That's the question I have. That's why they double down. Because think about it. They've lost in 2018, they've lost in 2020, lost in 2022, and just lost in 2023. Like I said in the previous video, you would think they would go back to the drawing board and see what they got wrong. But they're not. They're doubling down on it. Because they realize that's the base they can control. You can't control, it's much harder to control the masses when they all have evidence and facts in front of them. Then you have to stick to that. You have to stay true to that. But if you can just cook up some conspiracy theory, you know, Keith Richards is really JFK in disguise, then if you can convince somebody to believe that, you could just pick their pockets. I believe at the end of the day, that's what Roseanne and that's what Donald Trump and that's what all these people are doing. And the saddest part of this whole thing is that the Republican Party sat back and let it happen. The Republican Party of my grandfathers sat back and let this take over. I remember a time in my life, both of my grandfathers were staunch Republicans. I remember a time in my life when they were alive and I got things wrong, and they came at me and they said, no, that's not true. That didn't happen. Don't repeat that, okay? Because that's not true. That did not happen. I remember a time when they would say, Brandon, there's no proof for that. Brandon, there's no evidence for that. We can't go around saying that now. We might suspect it, but we can't say it is true because it's not. They took, the Republican Party sat back and let these people infiltrate it and take it over until now that's their base. All the reasonable people have left the Republican Party. And the ones that are left are just hanging on to a ship that's sinking. And how will we ever pull the reins in on that? How are we ever going to get control back until the Republican Party starts standing up? It has to be them. And even they're going to be labeled rhinos, and even they're going to be labeled traitors, and even they're going to be labeled the deep state. But to get control of the situation, they're painting us as the enemy. They're painting us as the mob. They're painting us as every villain there is. So it's going to have to be more Republicans and more conservatives start speaking up against that and saying, we don't want that representing our party. But the question I have and the question to think about is this: do they really believe this lunacy, or are they preying upon the lunatics gullible enough to believe it?